Now, if you have seen the movie Wicked, or you've seen Wicked for the Good, you will love this. Well, you might just love it anyway. This is the Wonder of Oz from our friends at Graphic 45, the papers and the die cuts, and I even have a castle for you. So this is one of the projects that I have for you. And you can see that castle right there. And there's Dorothy and her friends. Won't you please come play with us? Welcome to Paulette's Paper Play, and as you may know, what I'm going to do is to work with these products, but I'm also going to tell you why I did what I did, and hopefully that will give you some new inspiration. Now, the 8x8 papers, as I said, Wonder of Oz, and there are 24 sheets, and I'll just flip through them quickly just so that you can see. You're going to get 2 of each one. So as I'm showing you one, there's going to be 2 of them. So you've got this, and then, as I said, they're double-sided, so you can see the back side of it. And there, and there. Several pages of cutouts, which really is helpful. And, like, there's another one. This is beautiful. I didn't use it, but boy, that would make a great card, wouldn't it? And then they also have these papers that are patterned on one side and solid on the other. So that comes in very handy. In fact, I used every single one of those on the pattern side. Okay, so that is the half of them. And on the die cuts, there are 55 in this package. So here's the front of it, which, you know, you can't see too much. There are 55. I used 25 of them, so there's still 30 left in my package, but you can kind of see. And they're, of course, on the website. Now, let me get started with the first card. And here it is. It's the one that I showed you. And it was really funny. As I was working with these, I thought, you know, what I really want is a castle or something to show where the wizard was. And I thought, aha, we have a castle. And here it is. Now, I have put this in the Money Saver. It's normally $11.99, but I put it down for $5 for you. So I just really wanted to get you something. We have some left, you know, not a ton, but it just came in so handy. So I used this layout. So this is out of one 12x12 solid piece. Now, I couldn't get that out of the Wonder of Oz, so I went to look for yellow because, you know, it's a yellow brick road. And I came to the Be Happy solid cardstock. So this is what I used. And that's what I used to create the card base. And you do need a 12-inch length. And then you're going to cut it to be 6.5 inches tall. And so you're going to need to score it twice. So once at 5 inches and once at 10 inches. And it just is going to fold like that. And then to hold it closed, you can put a die cut. I put one of the cutouts, and it's just a really good example and a really good card layout, so you might want to remember that. And to do the scoring, I did use the scoreboard. Because I like it because it has the bone folder that's attached, so you're not going to lose it. And you can just go, even though it's not going to go the whole 12 inches, you can go 5 inches, then you can slide it over again and hit the 5-inch mark again. So that just makes it easy. Okay, so we've got that taken care of. Oh, and by the way, this finished card is going to fit into our 10 envelopes, so that's going to be nice too. So what I did is to think of this in terms of sections. So my first piece is going to be this. Now, it's going to be covered with the blue. It's going to be slightly smaller. So this is 5 by 6.5. So I'm going to be trimming the papers down to just be about 1/2 inch less than that. So that worked nicely. Now, the Emerald City is green. And to do the castle, I wanted a green mirror cardstock. And it happens to be called emerald green, so that was just so perfect. And I did cut out 2 in green, and I placed it in the upper left-hand corner. And I did use the precision glue press for this because of the needle nose applicator. You can just squeeze it on into all those tiny little areas and really get it securely attached to your card. Now, this is one of the cutouts. We'll get in close so you can see. And Dorothy is just pointing to follow the yellow brick road. And I only have one layer of foam tape. I think 2 layers would have been a little bit better. And so I thought that would be neat. And then my flap, we're going to back up again. This is that 2 inches, and you can see the green paper. So I use the same thing. It's going to be the same size, the length, and then it's going to leave that 1/8 of an inch on each side. Now, this piece with the follow the yellow brick road, again, let's get in tighter. And notice that this has the hearts on the bottom. Well, there are some of the borders in the collection that has the border at the top. The only reason I mention that is when we go to the inside, that will be important to have that heart border the same place on all of the pieces. But here, it's just going to span that whole piece. And I like the idea of Dorothy pointing, let's follow the yellow brick road. And there it is going up the cart. I thought that worked really nicely. I was very proud of myself. Okay, so let me open this up and just flip that back. And then we've got 3 sections. Well, obviously, this one was perfect for the Tin Man because he's just right there. And I played around with what colors to have so that you could actually see all of these. And this is that gingham, and then the green dot, which is what we used on the front, and then also the yellow stripe. So each of them has a different color, but follow the yellow brick road is the same at the bottom of each of them. So like I said, it's got the hearts at the bottom. And then I thought of each of these as just a section for the characters. So best friends, and of course the lion and the poppy, because the poppies they're in the artwork for the yellow brick road. And as you might remember, unless you were too scared to watch, you might remember all the poppies, and then they fell asleep, and then they woke up later on. But I've got the poppies there. So this is down first. Best friends, these are just glued in place. Now, the courage, heart, and brains is in a little strip of the cutouts. So I cut it out, and then I put and foam taped each one with the which one belongs to which character. So obviously the lion is looking for courage. The scarecrow wants a heart, and the Tin Man wants a brain. So those are there. There's Dorothy and the scarecrow, and again, poppies. Now up here is one of the circles. This is the Good Witch, as you might remember. I'll talk about her sparkles in a second. Oz just seemed really perfect there because that's where the yellow brick road is going to take them. And I just really thought the Tin Man was really cute. There are a couple of images of him. Now, with the Good Witch, so you can see the sparkles. And, you know, when I was doing that, I thought, well, let's get something that's going to look really sparkly. And I thought, okay, we could have glitter, but I kind of don't really use glitter very much. So I went to the diamond dust. Now, you're going to see it on 3 of the 4 cards. So again, the precision glue works really well for that because you can do your line of glue exactly wherever you want it. So what you see my hand doing is unscrewing this. Okay, so we've got that really needle nose applicator, and you can just make this go out. You can do swirls, you can do whatever you want. I do try to put the cap back on, you know, as quickly as I can, just to get that needle into the container of glue and just to fix everything quite nicely. Okay, we'll set that aside. And then I have a scrap paper underneath. I dump, and that's exactly what I do. I just dump the diamond dust, and then I tap it off onto my scrap paper, so then I can put it back into the bottle. And, you know, I've used this a lot, and there's hardly any gone. And this is crushed glass. I have never been cut by it, and I can go like that, not have a problem. You don't want to have this out for children, though. I think that would not be a good idea. So, but it does give that wonderful sparkle of magic. And I thought that was just great. So that's why I've used it. And so that is the first card. You know, one of the nice things is that I can show this to you complete. It does not begin to tell you how many pieces of paper I put behind these in order to come up with this combination of 3, but it worked out nicely. I just wanted to be sure that you could really see all of the images, and I thought that was a great way to begin. So, okay, so we have Dorothy and her friends going along the yellow brick road. So what's next? Well, if you know the story, what's next is the Witch of the West. Now, she also has a castle, and I'm hoping that you can really see that because I used the black glitter paper, and I just thought that was perfect and very rich. And it seems like the castle just always seems to fit in the upper left-hand corner, so that's just fine. I did cover the whole card. Now, this is our regular, let's see, let me put some white cardstock underneath this, because right now, this is all blending into one thing. There you go. Okay, does that help? Okay, so this is our regular 5 by 6.5 inch card. And if you have seen the movie or know the story, well, if you've seen especially the movie, you'll know that she got a bad rap. And so I really wanted to have a card dedicated to her. The whole story is based on a book by Greg McGuire, and all of his fiction and fantasy, or not all of it, but much of it is based on a story like The Wizard of Oz, but it tells you a different truth. And in this case, it was the truth about Glenda. And so this is the card, the black glitter covering it, then this green piece is cut down a little bit smaller than what I did on the first card. So this is going to be a full 1/2 inch smaller all the way around. And I did use the thin line black dazzles. They're not going to be super shiny. They're going to be a little bit, but they're just going to give a little bit of decoration on the edges. And then I put the castle down. This is a cutout, and so I foam taped it. And this is an extra piece of the thin line dazzles. There was just an extra piece left, and I thought, well, let's underline Wicked. So who are you calling Wicked? And then at the bottom it says Witch of the West, so Wicked Witch of the West. So there she is. And then when we open it up, we have a smaller section, same images, so this paper and the diamond. Because the papers are 8 by 8, and this is going to take about 4.5 inches, you've got a piece left over. Well, let's use that. And who says you have to cover the whole thing? So I've got that. I've matted it on the black glitter, and I used the Wicked die cut and the Magic die cut. So I've got those two placed, and notice that they go over onto the white card. That's perfectly fine. I guess I can take that away now. Okay, and this is the die cut. So it's all very dark. You can see her green face. Maybe we should get in closer. And she's got some flying monkeys, which, as you know, she made them flying in error as she was doing a spell. There she is. And I wanted to make those ruby slippers ruby. Now, in the die cuts, they're just black and white. So I fussed around and I thought, okay, so if I'm asking you to buy diamond dust, maybe I can just paint some ink and then put that on top. But while it was glittery, it wasn't as shiny as I wanted. And then I tried something else, which I wasn't really happy with. This was the Tacky One Dry, and then I put the foil over it, but I couldn't get it nice, the Tacky One Dry, very smooth with my paintbrush. So that wasn't exactly what I wanted, but this was. So I took the letterbox red ink, and I tapped it onto my craft mat, and then I used my water brush to paint it over the black and white area. And with the paintbrush, I could really get it into those tiny straps. Then I used crystal lacquer. And let me pull that out. Okay, water brush. Crystal lacquer, which I particularly love because it is easy to use. So you just squeeze it on, and I used actually a toothpick to kind of move it around just to make sure that it got into the side of the shoes and then also that strap. You want to let it dry. And then I glued that in place, but I wasn't done. You can see my magic is just floating all around. So I did the same thing that I did in the last card. I took my precision glue and spread it like this. So you can make those extended lines for your magic, and then dumped on, that's the technical term, dumped on the diamond dust, tapped it off, returned the excess to the container, and I've got my magic. So I've got my ruby slippers, which I was very proud of, and my magic. Now, I wish I would have thought of to do the crystal lacquer, because I would have liked the ruby slippers pointing into the card like this, but I only had these two pieces, so I had to go with my plan B in putting them there. So that's my second card. So I have Dorothy in one with her group, and I have the Witch of the West in this one. Okay, now my third card is this one. And I loved this saying, and this is a cutout. Everything you were looking for was right there with you all along, and that's probably very telling for many. And so this is 1.5 inches. So I took our regular cards, our 5 by 6.5, and I cut 1.5 inches off the front. And that way it would just be perfectly there. And I like that, the thought of that in my head. So I used the blue, and the blue is, this is it, and it's on the back side of this paper that I did not use, but there's lots going on there. And I covered the front of that. And then again, I kept the poppies, because there are quite a few of the die cut poppies. So I put them there, and there's 2 rainbows. This is the larger one, and I put this down. It is not sparkly in the die cuts. Don't be misled. That is done with glue spread there. And so all I did was squeeze on the glue, and then I kind of just rubbed it in place, and then did the diamond dust, my diamond dust technique. And then this is another of the cutouts, die cuts, and I just foam taped that in place. And I really like how that added such a nice dimension to the card. On the inside, I went with this paper, which is this one. It's on the back side of this that I did not use, but you get 2 of each, so that would work. And so I wanted to make sure that that is going, you're going to see a little bit of it, and I wanted it to work with the front one. And then you get 2 of these silhouettes. This is I think the larger of the 2. And this is a cutout. So good friends are the best travel companions. And that just seemed to work very nicely with this. So this is glued down. It's a cutout. This is glued down. And this is a die cut, so it's just kind of along the edge. This is also a die cut, and this die cut the colors went very nicely with all of this, and it just fit perfectly. There are some individual pieces in the die cuts too, but I thought that worked very nicely. So all about friendship, and you always have what you need right with you. So that was good. Okay, so I had one more card to do. And this time I went, we're gonna have to back up a little bit. This is the Slimline tent cards. So this is a hunky-dory product. And what I loved is when you look at this sheet, I'm looking at this, and this is actually where I got the image that I used on the last card. And I just thought, hi, this is just gorgeous. This would fit on a Slimline card. And look at all the elements that are there. So I cut that out, and being 8 inches tall, it's going to fit perfectly on my card. Now, the only problem was when I cut it, I was missing this edge, this gingham, but the back side of this paper is this gingham. So that worked nicely. So I just trimmed out another piece, glued it on top, and then let's get in closer so we can see this. do you see around the edge? I wanted to add something, and I used our wide straight line glitter dazzles. Now they come in a package. One has gold on the edges, the other has silver. I used the gold one. And let me just put the paper right there. See that black border? Well, I just placed it over the black border, and I cut it to go around that poppy and all the way around. But on this side, there's no black underneath it. So I just ignored that and did the strip down. And I think it just makes it very complete looking. So that was easy and nice. I also took another paper out of the collection, and I cut out each of these, and I just cut them straight and foam taped them on top of the art. So that's the art that's there, and you can see the little stamped edges, so I left that, but I just wanted a little more dimension going on. So that was really kind of fun to find. That's the yellow brick road with the hearts at the bottom. And then on the inside, okay, on the inside, I did 2 rows of the wide straight line dazzles with glitter. You can see there on all 4 sides. And then I did the same thing. This is the smaller rainbow. You saw the big one on the last card. This is a smaller one, did the same thing. And then there are poppies, and they kind of spanned the whole bottom, so that was fun. I did have some poppies left, believe it or not. There's No Place Like Home was a cutout, and it just seemed to be perfect with the rainbow and being the end of the story and the end of my cards all together. So there's the Good Witch, there's our Green Witch, and there are all the other characters, including the wizard down there, who didn't get a whole lot of attention in my card making, but that just worked nicely. So very fun to do. And I will tell you that, like I said, I had quite a few papers left over, and I had 30 of the die cuts left over. So that's pretty big, because I was generous with them, because I really like, as I've told you many times, I really like letting the paper and the embellishments really tell the story, and you know, I just give it support in all of the things that I do. But I was particularly delighted that we had a castle for you. So that was just really, really nice. So the castle's in the Money Saver. You can buy it separately for $11.99, or you can get it in the Money Saver for $5. So, you know, I just wanted to give you something special. So that's all for you. All of this is on the right-hand side of your screen. You can buy them separately, obviously. There are directions. I wrote them. They're down below. You just click on whatever card you want, and you will see them. And if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, we would love it if you would head on over to paperwishes.com. That's the only place you're going to find the castle, the only place you're going to find the instructions. And we would absolutely love to have you join us regularly, because we have 6 webisodes every doggone week. Yes, we do. Every day but Friday. And sometimes on Friday we're doing it too. So watch out. The deal is, when we buy something like this collection from Graphic 45, we want to give you some ideas for using it. And so that's why we do this for you. And plus it keeps you coming back to us, which is what we really want. Okay, so that's what we have. I want to thank you for joining us. As you know, you are absolutely the best part of paperwishes.com. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.